Welcome to Mic'd Medicated.
And today we are going to talk about parenting. And because we're unexperts, we are going to tell you that you should feel it's okay to slack and be a kind of parent who curses sometimes and is not perfect. Because you know what? Kids are a little too fucking coddled these days. And Eva showed me a great video where it was like a mom who was basically like, shut the fuck up to her kid. And then she was like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but you don't fucking listen. And it's just, and I feel like that's my life. And yes, my kids sometimes talk like sailors because I am one. But sometimes you need expletives. And I know you think that they're excuses and they're lazy or expletives are lazy for just not using the right words. But sometimes you want to tell your kids to shut the fuck up.
Actually, I just read that using expletives is a sign of intelligence,
Oh my
and
God, I'm
I
fucking Einstein.
and I wholeheartedly agree with you. I have been over this gentle parenting,
When were you under it?
perfect. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. I I have never subscribed to it. It's almost by accident. I was a good parent,
Wait, but are
meaning
you sure? Like,
like I
is
wasn't
the jury's still
trying.
out about that? Still the 12-year-old. Their kids are not fully developed.
Well, I guess what I mean is I people have said, "Oh, you're so hippy dippy." And the truth is I haven't ever thought about keeping up with the Joneses. I haven't pushed my kids to try every new thing. I don't overschedule free time. But that wasn't because I was being purposeful about how to parent in a way that I thought was going to have a, positive outcome. It's more that I just was not equipped to
You kind of were
do
checked
more than
out.
what I was doing. I don't know if it was checked out or just, yeah, like spent by
Well, you had a
my
full-time
own
career.
career, my own brain, my own
Well, your own you were dealing with kind of raising
stuff.
yourself, like your own
Yeah,
your own
and
neglect and stuff.
but now that I'm, like, looking back on everything, I realize, like, the gift, the sort of unintended gift of your giving your kids the
Yeah,
ability to
boredom and
make
free reign
mistakes, be bored,
or make great TikTok videos.
be become independent. Like, you don't just become independent when you go to college, you become independent because you practice things being independent. You don't just build resilience because, your parents construct an opportunity for you. You build resilience because you have some hard knocks in life and you have to get up.
So, actually resilience is an interesting question because I have this debate with myself. So I basically in the beginning of the year, or in the spring of the year before, whenever New York City moms have to schedule their kids after school activities, I know I'm probably just going to burn the cash. Like, I know I'm signing up for all these things that my kids are not going to want to go to. It's just money burning. And my daughter, who's 5, I'll be like, we have ballet. She's like, I'm really tired. Like, am I supposed to be like, you be resilient, little fucker. Like, we're going, I paid for it. But she's 5.
I don't know if you're using resilience.
That's what I'm asking you. Is it okay that I say it's okay to go home?
Well, actually, I think you're
She's
so
5.
so when you're 5, maybe, but I have seen you do not put up a fight. Your daughter will say, "I don't feel like going to ballet," and you're like, "Okay, great." Whereas I do think
But at 5, I think it's okay. With Teddy, I wouldn't do that.
right, I
Who's
think
9.
I think you don't want to schedule them for things that they don't ask for and that you don't think they're going to do, because I think once you schedule them, you have to teach them that you need to follow through on commitments, especially when there's a team involved. So, ballet might be different because the class goes on with or without you, but if you're on a sports team.
I mean, she doesn't want to go to anything after school,
Right, so, like,
but she's
I
tired.
George was like that, and except for necessity, when I'd sign him up for things through collegiate that just made the day longer at school,
That was
why
for
why
you.
not just go why not just let your kid come home? Like,
I do. I just feel bad. I like got suckered into all this stuff. And and then like I'll literally say, "You want gymnastics? Why don't you want to go?" And she was like, "I'm too tired." And then we'll get home and she'll be like, "Wait, did I miss gymnastics?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." And she'll be like, "Dang it." And then she'll just go back to, sucking a pacifier. Cause I feel like literally she must be stressed at school. 'Cause she's got to hold it together.
yes.
And she comes home and it's like a cigarette. She's just like,
What about the parent? You have to hold it together all day, and then you have to come home and hold it together some more.
I hold
Like,
it.
there's never
That's why
time.
I just say, shut the fuck up. But no, literally, we had parent conference and the teacher was like, she transitions well. She listened. She's so sociable. She's so easygoing. And my husband and I are like, I'm sorry. Do you have the right person? Because I've never met her. Like, we're
But
the
that
opposite of New
doesn't
York
surprise
parents.
me at all. She's fabulous, but I do think if you don't create the same structures and routines and rules in your home, then your kids won't behave the way they behave in other environments where those sort of guidelines are very clearly
Clearly, I'm doing something right.
outlined and very, sort of firm. But then also, I think, isn't that the best case scenario?
Yeah, that's
Because
what the teacher told me.
it's it's unconditional love at home, and that's where
That's what
they
she said.
can break down.
She said, actually, because I don't think most parents are like, really? Because our kid is really tough at home. Like, they don't admit that stuff.
But why? That's so
I don't know,
dumb.
because people suck. But I, of course, admit it. And the teacher was like, no, it's actually a really, it's
Healthy.
very healthy that they feel safe at home, so they can
Yes.
act out and they feel like, not that they don't feel safe at school, but they know they have to act a certain way. And by the way, for a 5-year-old, that's a lot for 8 hours to hold it together.
A lot.
That by the time they get home, and I think parents just because I think for their own selfish reasons, want their kids to be busy, just
But
like keep
let's
them busy.
unpack that. Is it for selfish reasons? Is it because they're afraid if they don't start soccer in kindergarten, their child won't get a scholarship to an Ivy League school playing soccer? Is it that they want to be keeping up with the Joneses and doing Russian math with all the other
I think
parents?
it's
Or is it just I mean, I think working moms who work outside the home have a practical need if they don't have a nanny to keep their kids busy.
but even with nannies or anything, I think people are just so fucking overwhelmed. I don't know if it's a New York City thing or if it's just in general. It's like they don't understand that kids need time to just draw or play or watch a show. Like they need to decompress like we do. They can't just keep going. But I think I liked this quote a lot. Um, it was saying how basically, so it's a little longer quote. It was from a Motherly article, and it says the hardest thing about parenting in 2025 is that the parenting part isn't really that hard. It's everything else. Okay, I think parenting is also hard, but what she says by everything else is a pressure cooker of endless decisions, planning, and participation expectations from sports leagues that treat 7-year-olds like they're D1 athletes to classroom sign up genius madness that working parents are somehow still expected to participate in. And I think that's a really good summary of what it is. It's like your kid can't just play soccer one day a week. It's fucking 7 days a week and traveling. Everything is just so intense. And people are like, well, if you don't do this, your kid's not going to be messy. And I like Messi is in the soccer player. And I want to be like, your kid's not going to be messy anyway. He's 4'2" and, Jewish.
See, I've had the opposite experience in that I felt so overwhelmed and I needed to come home and rest and not do a lot. So, by sort of extension, my kids also were unstructured. And so, if there was ever a snow day or a holiday or parent teacher conference or on the weekends, we did a lot of relaxing. And I have the flip kind of anxiety of did like my kids missed all of it. And so, yes, they did things they wanted to do, but really they were the opposite of overscheduled, especially for New York City. And I would have these anxiety pangs like, did I not give them an opportunity to develop into something they would have done or would have enjoyed? I didn't afford them
Your
those
kids are doing great.
experiences. I know, but I'm saying now I know that, but I'm saying you're talking about, like, the anxiety of not doing all you're talking about the anxiety of feeling like you have to keep up with all those things, and I had the opposite anxiety
I
of
don't
not
actually have
caring, not
that.
doing
I
it,
don't
but
have that
then
anxiety.
feeling stressed my kids miss things.
I don't have the anxiety at all. I just like feel like so for Teddy's age, he's at the age where at least he can tell me what he's interested in. So if he's interested in something and I sign him up, like that, he's going to do that unless he's not feeling well because he wants to do that.
That's perfection.
But with my daughter, I'm like, I want to expose her to stuff to see if she likes it, but I don't want to push her because to be honest, when she's like, I don't want to go to gymnastics, I'm like, I don't fucking want to go all the way over there and sit there. Like, I'm happy to go home. And I also think I'm pretty fantastic in some ways. Some ways I'm horrible, but I watched a lot of TV when I came home.
Right,
I
right,
mean, I was
right.
kind of chubby and not, I could have probably been great. My dad said I would have been a D1 athlete. I don't believe him, but at all, actually. But I don't think that would have been me.
By the way, I'll never forget we were going down the escalator at Zara on a Sunday afternoon, and Eleanor said, "If they had a D1 for shopping, I'd be recruited and get a full scholarship.
That's really funny and probably true. That reminds me, there's an amazing video. It's like retail math, where the woman's like, it's a cartoon and she's like, so I bought a pair of shoes on sale that were originally 500 and I bought them for 300. So I took the 200 that I made from the 500 that, the 200 I made, and then I bought another thing for $50. It was originally $100. And she keeps going. And then her husband's like, so you're telling me you made money today? And she's like, yes. And she calculates all the money she made on the savings. He's like, no, you did not make money. You spent money. And she was like, well, if retail math were on the SATs, I would have gotten a 1600. We'll put the video in the show notes. It's so fucking funny. I
That
feel like it's
is
every
funny.
female.
I guess, like, the parenting thing for me now, having older kids, is what we always talk about. The days are long, the years are short, and no matter what you do, you will second guess yourself, and I don't know if that's ever changed. I feel like that's been forever, but I think the pressure today is so much more intense because what it means to be a parent is so much more all-encompassing, whereas I do think our parents' generation, maybe they did, but it seemed, and again, this is from the child perspective, that the parents, they didn't have to make sure we were happy and
It was
successful
more
and
about
getting
being
straight
safe.
A's and being a college admissions package. And I think today, parents feel responsible for so many more aspects of their child, especially like the mental wellness piece. It used to be like, you're in a bad mood, go to your room and
And,
sulk.
and by the way, everybody's fucked up. So maybe we should stop asking kids. And this is the thing. I think parents, especially in New York City, they're not saying, oh, maybe my daughter or son is in the wrong environment. They're like blaming the kid and making the kid feel fucked up. You know what I mean? Like maybe the school is not the right school. Maybe the city is hard to live in and giving you stress. Like it's always, they put too much on the kid. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but then I'd argue that in some ways you're doing what we're kind of analyzing right now, which is to be resilient, you fucking like, you don't choose where to live based on your children. You don't choose
No, but
like
like
what
you
to do
switch
on the
schools for
weekends
your
based on
kid
your kids.
and your kid is so
Sure.
much better now.
A
That's what I
thousand
mean.
percent. So yes, like educational environment, things like that. But I feel like we're in this precious era where everything is about the kids. And I, like, food wise, I see how have fallen victim to it. Like I will say, what do you guys want for dinner? Like when did that become a question for
First
the
of all, your
kids?
daughter eats ice cream for like 3 meals a day. So with food, you suck.
I admittedly, but I
Yeah.
think, that's a good example, my sucking aside, that it used to be dinner's ready and everybody comes to the table and eats what there is. And I don't know if it's a city thing or if it's the
I
way
think
we
kids are
are,
just
but
assholes now.
now it's like this one eats this one eats that, families who are ordering different from different places or having a chef cook specifically like, steak for the daughter and chicken and rice for the son. So I feel like that's
We
a
ask our kids
microcosm of
too
the
much.
situation.
And my kids do the same thing where they're like, "I don't want tacos." Like, "You eat tacos every fucking Tuesday. What changed about today?" "I don't want them. I don't want tacos. I don't want." And my son will
Right,
be
but you
like,
don't say, or
I
maybe
just
you do,
say,
I
"No," I
wanna
go,
know. What do you do?
"This is what you're eating."
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
Sometimes I don't.
I feel like I've been with you where, like, a second
Sometimes I
order
just give her
comes in
mac and
for
cheese.
Teddy.
Sometimes I just do mac and cheese. And sometimes,
But that's okay, like, I think
no, sometimes I fuck up that stuff. My husband, so what they'll do, they'll take my phone and FaceTime my husband who doesn't understand that I already put my foot down and said, "You're eating this. I don't care. Do you know how many kids are starving in other countries?" Which is the worst thing because then my smart kids are like, they can't eat this food anyway. But are you going to ship it to Uganda? No. Like, so that's
okay, we
annoying.
can call that smart.
Okay, that's smart and annoying or rude and obnoxious and jackassy. So then they'll call my husband who's like, all right, I'll order you sushi. And then sushi arrives. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's called undermining your parenting, but
But
this
he
is
didn't
really
understand.
important. I actually think this is a key part of the parenting challenge. This like, when did it become so important that there be no daylight between the mom and dad? Because I don't feel like that was as big a stressor either on relationships. Like, do you feel like when we were kids, our parents were often fighting about
My parents were never on
kids?
the same team.
Right, but was that an issue?
Well, we're 10 years apart, and I think the generation is different. Like, I have my parents were, like, the helicopter generation, where they didn't, like, care about mental wellness. It was just, "Are you safe?" Like,
I
"Are you
think
out
that's
of trouble?"
actually, no matter what generation, probably the most important thing,
But it was, like, a lot of
in terms the most
anxiety.
important job a parent has is your child safe?
It was just a lot of, like, a
Right.
lot of pressure.
Right, I guess in fairness, my parents' generation, there would be ads,
You were a little more
at
free.
10 PM, and it would be like, "It's 10 PM. Do you know where your child
I,
is?"
like,
Like, in
knew they knew
Manhattan,
where
if
I
it were
was.
10 PM on a weeknight and you didn't know where your kid is, that'd be bad parenting,
Right.
definitionally.
I mean, like, my parents would I was afraid. I was like a bubble person. Like, I was afraid to actually do anything. Like, my mom, the first time I was allowed to cross the street, she'd be like, "Call me as soon as you cross the street." I'd be like, "Okay." Like, I had a cell phone.
But I think I'm saying that that's not
That's normal.
helpful in getting you to build
No, it doesn't.
independence.
But in all fairness, New York was unsafe when this was happening, and she was nervous. And I think that is a reason. Like,
Oh,
yep, it's coming. I actually waited a little bit amount of time to talk about mom, motherfucker. Actually, because we've said this was funny, someone on one of our posts wrote, "I guess you better learn how to pronounce your new mayor's name." Well, I wanted to be
mm,
like, shout out, that was a good one. Anyway, so everybody, I didn't realize that 50 something percent of Manhattans and then the 8% who voted for Silva are fucking morons. Fucking morons. And I hope you get the city you deserve, you little motherfucking bitches. Um, so
I
it's gonna be bad. I remember New York
uh,
Unsafe. This is gonna be so bad. The other day, I just had two people start screaming Allah Akbar. It was like being in an episode of Homeland. Okay. And by the way, that fucking actor who played the FBI agent, he's endorsing Zoran. He endorsed Zoran Mondani. I'm like, you had a show about terrorists. Are you stupid? Yes, everybody's stupid. But where I was going with this is one of the reasons I want to move, besides just New York being not great and horrible and expensive, is that when I was growing up and it was unsafe, it was stressful. I felt that as a kid.
but did you feel that as a kid because you knew that, or did you feel that because of the way your parents behave? Because I truly do believe that the
Combination.
energy you put out, your kids pick up. What
No,
it's
I
like,
got
what's
a.
that cool saying? Like, "I'm picking up what you're laying down," or something?
Well, my kids don't pick up anything. Neither does my
No.
husband.
But I mean, if you act, it's like the classic, the baby's toddling and falls and then looks at you, and if you go, "Oh my god, are you okay?" The baby starts to
No,
cry, but if you go,
yes.
"You're fine, get up," the baby's fine.
I'm saying it was a combination. Like, before, you wouldn't get emails, your parents wouldn't get emails, 100,000. They would get like a letter that would come in your backpack in a folder, like, and then you'd give it to your parents, or they would get a letter in the mail. And I remember we had a handout in like fifth grade, and it was like, don't wear red and blue on Halloween because the Bloods and the Crips are slashing people wearing blue and red. Like, I remember reading that. Like, so it wasn't just my parents, it was the
Right.
environment. It was scary. And I think, I see New York headed in a direction that's not good. And I think you have to be vigilant. You have to be on alert as a parent and as a kid. And like, that's really stressful. And I think that hasn't left me.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree, and I think
Like, your daughter said something recent. What did she
yes,
say?
yes. She asked me if there were going to still be police in New York, and it was
Not
a
according to
very
Mondani. He wants social workers to go, "Hey, dude with a gun who's crazy. Why don't we talk about calming down?"
no, but it was like a really uh interesting moment. And the realization dawned on me that, wow, like they are so much more aware of what's going on and what's happening in the city
Yeah.
than we give them credit for, because you would think, oh, middle schoolers, they're not paying attention. Let me tell you, they're all very aware of who won the mayoral election and what the implications
And I
are.
think they're
And
smarter than the voters.
they're listening to what we're saying. So I think also as parents, we had Jill Spielberg on, and one of the wisest, she said so many wise things, but one of the wisest things she said was, we as parents, we are the models for our children. It's not what we say, it's what we do. So we're kind and generous and help the needy. We, treat each other with respect, and we,
Yeah, is
don't
that why my
lie,
son
steal, or cheat.
yesterday wrote "fuck Mondani" on a piece of paper and he taped it up on the wall in my apartment? That's good modeling I did.
Right. Well, but I would argue he is very passionate, principled, and those are good, values that he gets from you to stand up for what you believe in. Look, if nobody stands up, that's a problem. Somebody has to be willing to stand up for what they believe in.
That's true. I've taught my kids, you stand up and you fight, and even if my husband is like, "Can you please stop being so aggressive and freaking out and telling everybody
It's
we're
like you
moving?"
stand up and Jeremy's like, "You sit down." And she's like, "You stand up, sit down. Stand up, sit down. Stand up."
Yeah, he's like, you just don't ever let me talk. Like, why are you just saying automatically we're moving to Florida?" And I'm like, "'Cause you're fucking 20 minutes behind me. Like, come on, get there, get there, get there. Move it. Dude, we talked about this. This guy's a terrorist. We're gonna move. You wanna live here? Allah Akbar? No, no." And then he's like, "Let me talk." And then I'm like, "Okay, talk." And he's like, uh, I'm like, "Talk."
But I think so what's so
That's
interesting
great
is
modeling for my kids.
back to the parenting episode. By the way,
I hope people can't hear
we
your
don't have
dog
to, we
barking.
don't, I know, poor Bunny. I think she's the most anxious about all this because she was anxious before we have this new, mayoral candidate, or what do you call him? The mayoral elect.
Fucking terrorists? I don't know. Fucking hand eating food
Oh dear.
motherfucker. I hate him. I hate him. I
But
can't tell who I
I
hate more,
think
him
this
or the
gets
red beret Silwa.
But I think actually, while I want to be like, stay focused, Caroline, did you take your meds today? At the same time, I feel
Clearly,
like
they're
this is
wearing out.
so relevant because it is about parenting, and think about how he was parented, and think
Oh
about
my God,
how
that's
important it
exactly
is the values you instill in your
right.
children. And I find it
Excellent point.
amazing that, you know, we have elected somebody who comes from a family, with so much hate for Western values. And then importantly, I would not, no matter how much money I had or how much, privilege my child had, I would not be happy with them, being an unsuccessful rapper for 3.5 years, not
I
having a
know.
job.
The fact that no one's talking about that, like, actually, I saw a great post. It might have been from 50 Cent. Was like, Mondani's first job, mayor of New York. Like, first job ever. No, he actually got into politics. Dan Senor has an amazing podcast episode, which we'll put in the show notes, that really explain like how he just kind of slid in here. And he was raised with such hate for Israel, like blaming Israel. It's so true. It's so it's so Jewish scapegoating. Like the police, they're fucked up. Up, it's Israel's fault. Everything in my life, up, you don't have a job. Israel's fault. Actually, maybe you don't have a job because your major is gender fluidity and fucking fairies. Okay, maybe that's why you don't have a fucking job,
Well, but here's the thing. I
assholes.
actually think, and this goes to parenting again, but not just parenting, I think COVID contributed to this. We went through a massive reordering where for 2 years, people did not go into the office, they were not working. And so the young people who were coming of age, out of college, first jobs, they were not actually in an office
They also had
learning
retarded
how.
majors.
Fine,
Like
that's true.
I'm sure you can
But
major
your
in
first.
Taylor Swift.
But I remember my first job. It's like it's a different muscle and you come home exhausted and you're like, "Oh my god." And you realize how you might think you're you know, college graduate with all this knowledge from your liberal arts degree and you get into the workforce and you're like, "Oh my god, I don't know anything." And somebody who went to no name college is, rightfully, kicking my ass that I did something wrong or that I don't understand how something's done, or somebody has, generously mentored me and taken me under their wing and is showing me
Everyone's
the
too
ropes.
fucking gentle
None
now.
of that was happening. And so you have all of these discontent. And
Mhm.
I think that's what the guy who was on Dan Senor was saying about.
Actually,
He called it all these people in precarious
he
situations
blames it on
because
2008, actually. He said that that was a big issue. So the 2008 financial crisis was when actually a lot of millennials are retarded my age. And the ones who, no, no, seriously, the ones who are not like married and living in homes or suburbs or whatever, the ones who tend to be in like New York City and they're unhappy, dissatisfied with their life. They kind of couldn't figure out their career, they're still being supported by their parents. That generation is the really fucked up one.
right. And I would argue even the next one
Is
did not
worse
have the work ethic. And I actually think why Mom Donnie was so popular and ultimately victorious is
because he
because
loves gays.
he
Sorry.
He was offering free stuff. He was offering affordability in the form of free this, free that, free
Yeah,
this,
you don't
free
have to
that.
work.
And I guess, but what I'm saying is like, we need to get back to a parenting culture that values hard work. And I think what happens now, what I see all around us, and where I'm sure, guilty as well, is like teaching our kids that the hard work is how you get is like how you build character and self-worth and all of these things. So instead of in the summer figuring out how to give your kids the resume boost to get into like some
Bullshit,
bullshit Ivy League,
Palestinian
you
loving
should be saying like,
college.
go get a job, earn a paycheck.
Yeah, I
Like
had
I
a
do
job when I was in
feel
high
I
school.
had plenty of jobs, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's so common anymore for high school kids. The kind of like
Because
those
they're
jobs we
focused on
had.
the wrong thing. They're focused on making this little perfect package. Like I even saw something like a resume builder for someone getting into kindergarten. They're focused on the wrong things. You know what we need? We need people to be tougher in a good way. And like, I think we need to talk about where we all came from much more.
Right, but this all goes back to parenting,
You can't be
bringing us
are
back.
you okay that I understand that you lost your sparkly little pair of shoes because the dog ate it. It's like, no, maybe you should put your fucking shoes away and the dog won't eat it.
A
Be tough,
a
responsible.
100%, but then I also think it's, you know, you need to get a job if you wanna buy those expensive shoes
And you need a boss
versus
who's tough.
I'd rather protect your precious time to make sure you get the A or bring in a tutor because God
No.
forbid you get a B when really the lessons of how to be a good person in life have nothing to do with whether you're getting A's in school.
Also, like, I don't know, parents, like, but if you're following like the news that do you want your kid at Harvard or all these places? Like, no, thank you. I do not want that. No. Like, and all these kids in high school or middle school, it's such an archaic system. They don't like the AI is going to take over by the time they graduate. Teach them to be good people, community building people who have a good work ethic. Because guess what? It's going to be a lot fucking harder to get jobs.
Right, but, like, I admit one of the things I really lament is I have dropped the ball on, philanthropic activities with my children. There's just so
It's
many
never too
hours, and
late.
it's never too late. I couldn't agree, and my kids, for their, bar mitzvah, did projects, and obviously through school, they do things, but, like, as a family, modeling that, and I do think that there has become this hyper focus on the child's time, making sure the child does great in school and great in sports and this and that. It's not family first, it's child
I think kids
success
are robbed
first.
actually of time with their family. And I think going back to what you said is like the years are short and the days are long. It's true. It's like I had this epiphany of like, I don't want to keep doing this. Like New York City, first of all, time moves so fast, like New York minute. But like I don't want my son has his homework for the first time. He's in 3rd grade. It's not like hard, but it's fucking annoying. Like I don't want him to spend all his time come home from school, do an activity and then it's homework. Like I want to be able to do a puzzle or like have fun with him or with them. I'm
I'm
saying like
totally not with you here. I actually love homework. I think
okay.
kids should come home and have stuff to do. And like, aren't you excited? Like he has something independent he can go do versus you have to be like, come, Teddy, let's do a puzzle together.
No, but I have to like kind of help with the homework still. It's like no.
See, I actually think I never knew what my boys were doing ever. Like literally, I was at
Yeah.
work all the time. I had no idea what was going on. And as a result, they're very, very independent. Now,
Teddy
if
is
you
a
have a child who needs it, I totally get that. But
he's
why
actually very
not let your
independent.
kid go to school? And by the way, if they fucked up, if they got half of it wrong, if they didn't do it, they will have the natural consequence of a teacher saying you didn't turn this in or you
No.
turned it in
Look, I
wrong.
no, but I agree. I mean, look, I have to like sign his homework. Like they have a parent signature.
Right. But like
It's
that's
early.
messed up too. I
I
think that's
agree.
part of the
I agree.
parenting problem. Like when did teachers want the parents so involved? And then apparently there's this big culture of cheating. And it's such a sad statement on our society that, kids would rather cheat and get a good grade than be a good person
Well,
and
I
get
mean,
a
I think
worse
kids have been
grade.
cheating forever. So like, come on.
It's
Passing
funny. That's what
notes.
my son is so
Yeah,
funny.
that's just
When I was
bullshit.
asking my son if like the whole idea of this cheating, he was like, as long as the like forever of time.
People cheat. That's just like, I mean, I cheated on my driver's ed test. That's stupid because then I didn't know what anything fucking was.
Wait, how do you cheat on your
So I
driver's
took it
ed
at
test?
Dalton and not the driving one. I failed that one actually the first time. I drove on the wrong side of the street. Swear to
No.
God.
I love it.
Yeah, actually,
But isn't that great? You
wait,
learned, you
this
had
was
to
really
take it
funny.
again.
Okay. So I have my driver's test and I'm in a fancy car, which I don't recommend in a not great area. But that's not why I failed. I failed because I sucked at driving. So I get in the car and there's a double parked car. So I go around the double parked car and forget to go back into the other lane. So I'm driving against traffic. And then obviously the teacher's like, go to the other lane because she doesn't want to get fucking killed. But then this was a good lesson. She makes me do the whole test. So I'm thinking like, I got a chance, it's a point system. I was like, so how'd I do? And she's like, you failed in the first 10 seconds. I was like, what do you mean? She goes, driving on the other side of the road is an automatic failure. And I was like, but why'd you make
Thank
me do the
God.
test? She's like, I don't know. You're already here. You should practice because you're not good. It was a good lesson.
Wait, when you say where were you? Where were you taking this
Somewhere in
test?
Queens. Okay, so I failed, but then
Wait,
the
is
written
that
part.
because you cheated on the written
No,
part?
no, that's because I fucking sucked at driving, and I was okay, and I just was a moron. No, I cheated on the written part to get my permit at Dalton. I wasn't paying attention. Everyone was like saying stuff, and then like there would be a sign on the highway or somewhere, and my dad would be like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Did you read that?" And I was like, "I don't know what that means. I don't know what like the yet 3 arrows this way mean or confusing."
Is there a sign with 3
I don't
arrows?
know. I didn't know. I knew stop sign. There were other signs that I don't know if I know stop signs a lot. But anyway, my permit, I let it expire before I got my license. So then I had to take like 8 hours of driver's ed video. And that fucking was hard. And I learned a lot of stuff that I don't remember now.
Wait, your permit expires? I need to know this
Yeah,
because
it expires like if you don't use it for like 2 years or a year. But it expired
interesting.
and but that was a good lesson. Like I think we need to get back at being tough. Like I remember my first boss, I had an internship at Dior and I came into her office and she's like, "Where's your notebook?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like, okay. She was like, "You need to always come in here with a notebook and write stuff down." I was like, "You're a scary bitch, but okay." And then, like, she would, tell me things that she was doing. And then I didn't realize it, like, or she would give me tasks to do. And I didn't realize it was my job to, like, follow up with her and ask her, like, did do you need this task now? Or like, I just was a baby.
Wow, I've
And she
worked
was
with people
tough. No,
like
no, no, but
you.
she taught and I listened immediately. Like,
Right.
she was like, "No, you remind me this." And I was
But
like more
that's sort of like what I'm saying
but
in
that was
that,
good.
yes, you can have all the issues you want with the millennials, but I think there's also that cohort who out of college were in their parents' basements during COVID, either working
That's
remote
not
or
a
not having
millennial.
a job, whoever those people are. And I think the job is where you kind of get your ass kicked and your ego checked and where you learn how to be an
I also
adult
looked,
in the
I
real
never wanna
world.
work in fashion.
Well, and you might have those jobs in high school, but for a lot of kids, they don't do it till college. But then if you don't have that and everything's work remote and you don't learn how to be a grown up like that, then you have, I think, you just like, how do you then learn
No,
how
you
to
spend time on
work?
TikTok and learning about facts that are not true, and you get brainwashed by someone like Mondani. I mean, that that's also the problem is we had, like, the George Floyd shit. I mean, it was like, it just was a crazy time, 2020. But I think the other issue was that was the first time parents were seeing the fucking shit kids were learning.
Right. So we
So
haven't,
they've
I
been
mean, we
brainwashed for
need
a
a
while,
whole
these
nother
kids.
episode to talk about technology and parenting and
No, just no, no,
education.
no, old school teaching. Like, what the fuck are you teaching my kid? They're not teaching shit that's normal.
Right. I think, I doubt our parents were asking what's being taught.
Because it was obvious. It was like math, English, reading a normal book. It wasn't like, well, we live in America, but Americans are very bad people. And, we're
Well,
George
where's the
Washington was a bad
balance?
person.
I mean, I think there has to be the
There was the
balance.
pendulum swung so fucking far.
Right.
And then we had George Floyd and I'm going to call it as it is. White people were like, we can't say anything
Right. Well,
because we're bad.
and it's like you said, the podcast sort of, explained how all of these white people were told you have privilege or bad. And then all of a sudden, the war in Gaza gave them the opportunity to be redeemed. Like, you're not bad. Israel's bad.
Right. And I'm like, hey, I'm Jewish and I love Israel. You all are fucking bad because you're morons. And I felt confident. I felt for the first time freed in that sense. I don't give a fuck what your pronouns are. I don't give a fuck about this DEI culture because I'm not included. And you know what? It's scary to be me right now. Okay.
By the way, I totally get it.
I can't wear my Jewish star.
I think
Fuck
post
you guys.
I think post October 7th, the entire, DEI
Crumbled in my head. Actually,
Yeah.
I never believed in
The
it. I thought it was all
system just
sucky.
broke down.
Well, it doesn't work.
Well, I think it just was unmasked that it wasn't really about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
It
Those
was
were
about excluding anybody who was remotely white looking. I could be like, I you don't know.
Yet it was run by all white
I
people.
don't know. In order to like be included, I need to like go to a tanning bed. Yeah, like very brown. I'm being honest. That's also the problem with Israel. Obviously, people hate Jews. People don't understand that in Israel, you're black, you're white, you're, you know, in between black and white, whatever colors you want to call it. Um, Palestinians are, yeah, they're brown, but like, first of all, they have a black section. I don't know if you know this in fucking Gaza, and they
I
are not,
didn't.
they're like slaves. They have a black section in Gaza, and it's like a separate neighborhood, and they are like hidden from other people. They're and
Is this
treated terribly.
true?
This is true.
Why aren't people freaking out about
Why
that?
aren't people talking about the Christians in Sudan who are
Oh,
being
well, that's
fucking
yeah.
hung by radical Islamists? I'll tell you why, because it doesn't include Jews, honey. People hate Jews. Why? I don't know. It's probably because we're a small amount. We're very successful. We're smart. We're hardworking. We don't victimize ourselves. We hold like all the Nobel Prizes. We invented everything.
But Jewicide.
Did you say Jewicide? I feel
Well,
like we're in a Jewicide, actually. So New York City is a fucking Jewicide now. We're literally,
I was gonna say,
we're
I was
fucking,
trying to like
Jews
circle
are
back
wearing
and
vests,
knit this up
bomb vests.
as our parenting episode. I think that a
Teacher,
lot has gone
I
wrong because I think parents, and I don't fault us, but because of
fault
all,
parents.
can I finish my thought?
Sorry, I'm so upset.
Because of all the anxiety and all of these experts telling us what to do and how to do it, and us feeling inadequate no matter what we do because it's never enough and it's never yielding the perfect child in emotional, psychological, academic, and athletic prowess. I actually think we stopped focusing on like building your child's like sense of self and moral character and work ethic and kindness, and instead it was about being the best they can be and performing and
We forgot about
winning.
the qualitative aspects of a child, not focus on the quantitative things, what we can sort of categorize versus like just who they are as people.
Right. And I think again, like I always go back to, it's our anxiety fueling this, but for some reason it's very hard to stay sane and focus on what's most important is that your kid be a good, kind person, and that it doesn't really matter
And
whether they
stand
get
up.
A's or not. It matters they work hard. It matters they understand the importance of, having, a purpose or a goal and working hard towards it. But like, it's like we've lost the plot. It's like we're worried about the destination, not the
But also the
process.
schools have lost the plot. The teachers have lost the plot. So these kids are not taught how to make they're not taught what's right or wrong anymore.
Well, that's
And that's
also
parents'
what
faults too.
happened, but that's also, I think, what was revealed post October 7th because,
Of course.
this moral relativism, it used to be really clear there's good and evil. And now I think like
I
this
mean,
whole cultural
resistance
relativism
fighters
and
are good.
oppressor oppressed framework, it's just different
Well, that's
now.
where I was talking about is because the Palestinians are considered brown people and the Jews.
Jews are all different
No, of
colors.
course. I forgot that's what I was talking about in Israel. They're considered like white bankers. You know what I mean? Who control everything. That's how people view it. They don't realize it. First of all, that wouldn't matter if it was the case, but they look all different in Israel. And by the way, for all of you gays for Gaza and all this, the only place you can be gay, trans, have multiple pronouns is in freaking Israel.
Hmm.
It's so sad. It's so obvious, but why do we get it? Why does my 9-year-old son want to
Well,
write a sign, fuck Mandami, but we have kids who went to Ivy League schools voting for a fucking terrorist? What's wrong with you guys?
and maybe this is where we end the parenting episode, which is
Okay.
like parents
Need to fucking learn how
have
to parent.
because we live in this crazy world. And by the way, parents are not unaffected by the technology and the anxiety and the insecurity, job, financial, otherwise, all these other trends. Maybe it's that as parents, we have not been able to focus on the right things. Those have gotten lost at the expense of the other pressures. And how did we allow a generation of kids to turn out this way?
I don't know. It's very upsetting. I mean, I think we just we placated too much to them.
And we shouldn't generalize. There are a ton of amazing kids. Like all of my, my son's a sophomore in college, and like everyone I see, I'm so hopeful. There's so many amazing,
I mean, look, there's always shitty kids,
kids out there
and
too.
every generation is always like, "Oh, we're a better generation," and, you know, is nostalgic for what was. But this, to me, seems, like, out of control. Like, could you imagine people who were in the greatest generation, who fought in World War II, like, going up to a person who goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you had my pronouns incorrect. I'm a they, them." They'd spit in their face. Like, what? They had real problems. These kids don't have real problems. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, lots of people have real problems, but maybe the kids,
They're
like,
making up
that
shit.
we're around.
I don't know. I'm just you know what?
Can we also, on a future episode, I think this whole notion of, bad therapy, because I think this starts to get into that book I was telling you about by Abigail Schreier, and I think there's a lot there that we don't just say you're sad, it's depressed. We don't just say you're
Right. 100%.
frustrated, you're
Or it's
traumatized. We don't
normal to
just
be
say,
sad.
yeah, it's totally normal.
It's
It's normal to be anxious. It's normal to be
How would you feel
stressed.
happy if you were never sad? If you don't have that, you would never feel that.
Right. So when you're in a bad mood, it's like, go to your room. It's not like something's wrong. I have to get under it. I have to call the
No,
teacher,
I
find out
know.
what's going on, like what happened today. And also like the meddling in the kids. Like I see this is also where I just unintentionally, I guess, did something right in that like I never had any idea like who my kids' friends were and what they were
But you're
doing.
also part of the problem where, like, your kids were learning fucking bullshit stuff. You weren't paying attention.
Right. But on their own, they knew how to process it and
That's
spit it
true.
out because of the home environment.
Yeah, I think, if I leave anybody with a lesson, I think this is important. My son,
Your unexpert
my
lesson.
unexpert lesson, my son was like, "Can you be a girl and have a penis?" And I was like, "I'm gonna tell you guys one thing, both of them. Go if you're ever confused what you are, open your pants. And if you have a penis, you're a boy. And if you have a vagina, you're a girl." And they were like, "All right, cool." And I was like, "That's what it is. You deal with it. All right. Sometimes I wish I was 5'11" and Giselle. I'm not. Okay. And you deal with it. And it makes you more resilient. So maybe you wanted a vagina. That's your problem.
Once in a while, there are people who truly were born the wrong
Great. But
way
I'm not
and
going to
let
tell my kid
them.
that.
And in that case, let them.
Yeah, but I don't need to, if that's not what they were asking. They were just,
Right.
does it exist? And I thought it was okay to say no.
Yeah, no,
And
I
I
think
think
it's
there's some
fine to
mental
say there
illness with
are 2
trans.
genders.
Do you think
Yeah.
sexual orientation is totally different? You're gay, you're fucking gay. Who cares? Love gay people.
Right. No, I
Totally different.
agree. It's too confusing for kids at this age to you just like,
It is what it is. What's in your
yes.
pants? That's what you got. And deal with it. Hopefully, if it's, that's it. Right? Okay.
I think we should end
I
on
think we
that
should
note.
end on that.
We went a lot of places. I think we're going to need a follow-up on this
I
episode.
think this was a great episode. I feel like this was cathartic. I could have gone on, but I think the fact that I'm getting a signal from Eva to like mic drop it means that I'm maybe going a little too far.
No.
No, actually, I have a appointment to get my Botox. It's a what is it called? When the second session?
Touch up.
I'm getting a touch up from the girl who never had Botox to like give it to me, baby. Shoot me up everywhere. And I also should teach my kids too. I taught them that you should always stay hot. It's important too.
You
You don't.
taught me that
Yeah,
too.
age is just doesn't have to just. You don't have to be like I'm old. No.
Actually, yes, and there was this amazing new column, I forget the gentleman's name, where it's the art of being a gentleman, and he talks about, like, the importance of dressing, he talks about the importance of, how you present yourself in social environments, and I actually do think that that's also where post-COVID, there was this let loose of
Oh,
sweatpants and this and that,
gross.
and I
Like
love that the schools are now starting to say, like, "Put your uniforms back on," like, "Wear, a
the
collar shirt," and
the
so I
airport looks like a fucking homeless station. Like I don't want to see you in I men in sweatpants. I can't.
I've never in my life seen my husband in
I don't
sweatpants.
want to
I've
see.
never in my life seen my husband in running
I
shoes.
do not want to see my
He will
husband.
he
I mean,
will
no,
not
sorry. I would see
wear
my husband.
sneakers
I don't want to
on the
see.
street.
I don't want to see someone in the airport wearing actual workout sneakers. It's not
Oh,
okay.
I've
Just
done
because they
that.
didn't fit in your fucking carry on, of
That's what I
course you get.
do.
No, then pack a bag and check it. Don't wear those
Wait, why
shoes.
is that
I
so
can't.
bad?
It's just awful. I hate workout shoes with non-workout outfit. My pet peeve.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I
unless you
feel
have like a foot disorder, just fucking fucked up. But grown men in sweatpants, like there's not enough support in that area. I don't want to see your dick swinging in the airport. And you're like 400
maybe they
pounds
want you to
and your
be
butt crack is
clear on
showing.
maybe they want you to be
No.
clear on what gender they are, Caroline.
Okay, I see it. We get it. Okay. But like, come on, give it a hammock or something. It's just, no, it's too
Right,
free.
right.
as Louis C.K. said, sometimes we're just too free,
Yeah.
too free. We need to go back to the rules.
I am coming around to that point of
Wear
view.
a tie, wear a jacket, wear a fucking dress. You can curse like a sailor, but have some fucking class. All right. And with that,
From Miss
Mike's.
Classy herself.
Oh yeah, from Miss Emily
Uh,
Post over here.
mic drop.